Let's take two of the most popular life simulation games, The Sims, obviously, and Stardew Valley. Both games offer players a unique and engaging gameplay experience, allowing them to create and control their own characters and worlds. However, while both share some similarities, they also have notable differences that set them apart. But which one of them reigns supreme, and why? Hello everyone, and welcome to The Sims Lore. In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at these two games, compare and contrast their features, and figure out which one reigns supreme and why. Whether you're a fan of farming and rural life, or urban living and social interaction, there's something for everyone in this ultimate showdown between The Sims and Stardew Valley. So go grab your snacks, let me know what you're having in that snack report, and don't forget to subscribe and like this if you enjoyed it. Alright, let's get straight into the video. First up, let's quickly introduce The Sims. As one of the best-selling simulation games of all time, The Sims allows players to create and control virtual people and their daily lives. Developed by Maxis and published by Electronic Arts, the game was first released in 2000 and has since become one of the most popular and iconic video game franchises of all time. Players can customize their Sims' appearances, personalities, and homes, and guide them through various activities such as cooking, cleaning, socializing, pursuing careers, and raising families. The game offers a high level of creative freedom, allowing players to express their creativity and imagination as they create their own unique Sims and worlds. Thus, there is no end goal per se, you get to choose what happens to your Sim and their families. The Sims first started out as a house-building game after creator Will Wright experienced losing his home to a fire and stating that he wanted to make a game where he could recreate his home. The game offers an extensive range of tools and customization options, including a robust building and design system that allows players to create their own unique homes and furnishings. Players can also use mods and custom content to further expand the game's possibilities, adding new features, items, and gameplay mechanics. While this freedom is given to Sims players, in later iterations of the game, it allows for a lot of big or small objectives and goals that you can choose to fulfill for your Sims. When playing the game, you can consider or disregard your Sims' lifelong happiness, goals, and dreams, which is in many ways allowing the player to act as God. Players are free to make their own choices and create their own unique stories, giving them a high level of creative control. The Sims franchise has also expanded to include multiple sequels, expansion packs, and spin-off games, each offering new features and content to explore, and the game's popularity has led to a large and active online community, with players sharing their creations, mods, and gameplay experiences. Stardew Valley is a popular farming simulation game developed by Concerned Ape and published by Chucklefish. The game was released in 2016 and has since gained a dedicated following for its engaging gameplay, charming graphics, and relaxing atmosphere. In Stardew Valley, players take on the role of a character who inherits their grandfather's rundown farm in a small town. The game offers a wide range of activities for players to engage in, such as farming, fishing, mining, and crafting. Players can also interact with the other townspeople, build relationships, and even get married and start a family. You can also play multiplayer if you so choose, where the person who created the farm is the host and the other players are farmhands, which adds a lot of enjoyment to the game by being able to play with friends. The game features a day and night cycle, with each day offering new opportunities for players to explore and grow their farm. The game's mechanics are designed to be accessible and easy to learn, while still offering a great deal of depth and complexity for more experienced players. Stardew Valley's charming graphics and calming music make it a relaxing and enjoyable game to play, while its open-ended gameplay allows players to express their creativity and build their own unique farming experiences. Similarly to The Sims, the game's popularity has led to a dedicated online community, with players sharing mods, custom content, and gameplay experiences. The Sims and Stardew Valley are both simulation games that allow players to create and control their own characters and worlds. While the overall gameplay and objectives are different, there are also some similarities between them. Both games offer players a chance to explore, experiment, and express their creativity in a simulated world, whilst also being vastly different in terms of gameplay. So let's dive into the differences first. Players of Stardew Valley are offered a virtual world that simulates aspects of daily life. However, one of the most significant differences between the two games is the setting. The game takes place in a rural farming community where players are tasked with growing crops, raising animals, and managing their farm. The game's focus on agriculture and resource management gives it a more relaxed and slower-paced atmosphere in contrast to The Sims, which takes place in a bustling urban environment where players are more focused on managing their Sims' daily lives, families, and careers. Now, one could argue that if you stayed within the confinements of your lot in The Sims, built a farm, and never left, you could potentially accomplish the same vibe that Stardew Valley has, which is absolutely achievable to some extent. However, there is a clearer goal in Stardew Valley where players take on the role of a character who inherits this rundown farm and must work to restore it and turn it into a successful enterprise, whilst also deciding to save their town or not from the Joja Corporation takeover, compared to a more open-ended gameplay in The Sims. Another significant difference between the two is the gameplay mechanics. While both games offer a high degree of customization and open-ended gameplay, Stardew Valley is more focused on farming and resource management, while The Sims offers a wider range of activities such as careers, hobbies, and social interactions. The Sims also allows players to build and customize their Sims' homes, while Stardew Valley only allows players to decorate their farmhouse and customize their farm lot. The relationship mechanics are also different between the two games. In Stardew Valley, building a relationship with the other townspeople is a significant part of the gameplay, and players can get married and start a family. In The Sims, building relationships is also important and is a big part of the gameplay, but it is more focused on socializing and interacting, rather than specific goal-oriented objectives. In terms of art style and graphics, there are clear differences between the two. The Sims has a more realistic art style with detailed textures, where 2D sprites were used in the first Sims game, and where 3D character models and objects come in later iterations of the franchise, while Stardew Valley has a retro pixel art style with simple character models and environments. The Sims is also more open-ended in terms of gameplay, with no set objectives, allowing players to create and live out their own stories. Stardew Valley, on the other hand, has clear objectives and goals, such as upgrading the farm, completing community center bundles to aid the town or hinder its progress for their fight against Corporation Joja Mart, and exploring the game's many areas. Overall, while both games offer unique and engaging simulation gameplay experiences, they differ in their setting, gameplay mechanics, relationship mechanics, and overall tone and atmosphere. Stardew Valley is known for its charming graphics and relaxing music, which give the game a peaceful and calming atmosphere. The Sims, on the other hand, has a more fast-paced and chaotic feel, with Sims constantly moving and interacting with each other. The Sims is more focused on social interaction, customization, and everyday life, while Stardew Valley is more focused on farming, exploration, and combat. So let's get into some similarities. For one, both games give the player a sense of control over their virtual world, allowing players to manage and shape the lives of their characters. In both, players can personalize their main character, oversee their daily activities and interactions with other characters, and even help them achieve their long-term goals. Both games offer opportunities for players to express their creativity in different ways. In The Sims, players can create unique Sims and build custom homes with a lot of options to choose from. Similarly to Stardew Valley, where players can design their own farm layouts and decorate their homes with various items and furnishings within certain constraints. Now, I wouldn't be a Sims lore channel if I didn't mention the lore behind both games. And boy, do they both come packed with some really in-depth lore about the characters and their surroundings. One of the main similarities between the two is that in Stardew Valley, each pre-made character has their own backstory, much like The Sims. Depending which Sims game you're playing, the lore differs, meaning that due to its long-standing 23-year journey, it has developed some in-depth lore about hundreds of households and thousands of pre-made Sims. Similarly, Stardew Valley has lots of lore about its world and characters, and there's a lot of digging involved whilst your main character gets to know these NPCs. Another similarity is that both games offer opportunities for players to explore and experiment. In The Sims, players can experiment with different career paths and life choices for their Sims, while in Stardew Valley, players can try out different farming techniques and interact with the various characters in-game. Just like The Sims, Stardew Valley also includes a day and night cycle and seasonal changes, which affect the gameplay and provide a sense of real-time passing. Both also have an open-ended gameplay structure, allowing players to create their own unique stories and experiences. While there are certain objectives and goals to achieve in each game, like lifetime wishes in The Sims and goals in Stardew Valley, players have a great deal of freedom in how they go about achieving these with no set path or timeline to follow. Finally, both games offer a degree of escapism, allowing players to immerse themselves in a different world and forget about their real-life problems and stressors. Whether you're tending to your farm in Stardew Valley or managing your Sims' daily lives in The Sims, both games offer a way to relax, unwind, and have fun. Now, this is entirely subjective and depends on personal preference, but not entirely. While they're not insanely different games, we do have to take into consideration when each of them was made, how well they performed, and the type of person that would play it. It's difficult to say whether either game is better than the other, as both games offer unique gameplay experiences and cater to different audiences. But I can bring to light why one might work better than the other. Firstly, The Sims was created 23 years ago. Yes, 23. While Stardew Valley was only made 7 years ago. Now, the time here is important to note because 23 years gives a video game franchise enough time to build a massive fan base and franchise, whilst also having a longer history of development. The larger player base of The Sims means that there is more support and content available for the game, including official expansions and iterations of the game, fan-made mods, and online communities. This can make it easier for players to find information, get help with the game, and connect with other players who share their interests. The Sims' popularity also means that the game is more likely to receive updates and improvements over time, with new content coming out more regularly. This can help keep the game fresh and interesting for long-term players, but also make it very marketable to new players. However, the overall popularity of The Sims can also mean that the game is more expensive and resource-intensive, with a higher cost for the base game and additional expansions. This can make it harder for some gamers to access the game, especially those with limited budgets or less powerful hardware. Not to mention the sheer amount of money grabbing EA has done intentionally, which also plays a huge role in this, considering how The Sims is owned by EA, and Stardew Valley is still very much with its first creator, Eric Barone. Also, let's not forget that The Sims was developed by a large group of designers, programmers, artists, and other specialists who worked together to create the game using a proprietary game engine created by Maxis, allowing the team to have access to a wide range of resources and tools helping them to create the game. In contrast, Stardew Valley is a relatively small and self-contained game developed by one person with a small budget, which he developed over 4 years. Like, he literally created all of the artwork and music and wrote the game's code from scratch. This allowed for a more focused and intimate development process with a greater emphasis on detail and player experience, which of course gave him complete creative control over the game's development and made a game that was true to his own vision. Interestingly, while Stardew Valley can be played in multiplayer, some Sims players are opposed to the idea of having The Sims as a multiplayer game since The Sims Online, which was released in 2002 and ended in 2008, wasn't received as well. Although it being a separate game that charged a monthly subscription, so already very different to Stardew, the goals were also a bit strange. Rather than walking around and visiting your friend's house, you would literally be focused on developing as many skills as possible quickly to be able to earn in-game currency. There's a whole other mess about that game which I will speak about in my next video. Oh, and again, the fact that this was separate to the other Sims games you already bought, and to avail of multiplayer you had to pay a monthly subscription? Yeah, not a good look. So with all this in mind, there are a few factors that may make Stardew Valley a more appealing game for some players in my opinion. The Sims is a massive game with numerous expansions and add-ons, each adding new content and features to it. This level of development required a large team and significant financial resources, which also makes the game that much more expensive, and if you want to add more to the base game, you have to cough up. Considering the base game in each iteration of the game comes with pretty basic stuff, Stardew Valley gains loads of points here for offering a complete game, without the need to purchase extra content to flesh things out. But it's not just the greediness of one company that can make Stardew Valley look better. While no game can be completely free of bugs or glitches, Stardew Valley has generally been praised for its stability and lack of reported crashes compared to The Sims. This is likely due in part to the fact that Stardew Valley was developed by one single person. This makes sense, and the reason for this is that the more people who work on a game, constantly adding to it and changing lines of code, the greater the likelihood of bugs developing. This is because it becomes increasingly difficult to keep track of everything that is being added or removed and how that fits into the overall code, which in turn makes it harder to create a concise final product. Barone has also been committed to fixing any issues that have been reported by players in a timely manner and has released numerous updates and patches to address bugs and glitches as they are discovered. This level of attention to detail and dedication to quality has helped to make Stardew Valley a highly polished and stable game. Going off of that, it is no secret that by the time the Sims team manages to address a specific bug somewhere, another one arises with the release of a new patch, pack, or extra bit of content. While bugs and glitches are always a possibility in any game, Stardew Valley's smaller scale and more focused development process may have contributed to its generally more stable and glitch-free gameplay experience compared to The Sims. But those are just the technical side. Stardew Valley has a more relaxed and soothing atmosphere, which can be a refreshing change of pace for players who are looking for a more laid-back gaming experience. Now, with both games, you do have to take care of your character in terms of their hunger and their comfort and all of that. But in The Sims, you can have multiple Sims in your household, whereas in Stardew Valley, you're only responsible for yourself. Stardew Valley's charming graphics that induce some nostalgia, calming music, and slower pace make it a great game to play when you want to unwind and de-stress. In comparison, while The Sims allows for a high degree of customization and open-ended gameplay, it may not be as immersive or in-depth in terms of specific gameplay mechanics. So, what type of player gravitates towards simulation games? Well, they appeal to a wide range of players, but they tend to be especially popular with people who enjoy immersive and detailed gameplay experiences. Simulation games typically require a lot of time and attention to detail and can be very rewarding for players who enjoy exploring complex systems and mechanics. Players who enjoy simulation games may be interested in a variety of different themes and settings, from farming and city building to space exploration and survival. However, they tend to share some common characteristics, including a love of planning and organization, a fascination with intricate systems and mechanics, and a desire for a sense of control and agency in their gaming experiences. Simulation games can also appeal to players who enjoy a slower and more relaxed style of gameplay, as they often involve tasks that can be completed at a leisurely pace. This can make both games a good choice for players who enjoy simulation games that allow them to unwind and take their time rather than feeling rushed or pressured to complete objectives quickly. Ultimately, both games offer unique gameplay experiences, and most will argue that which one is better will depend on personal preference and what each player is looking for in a game. Of course, it all depends on what type of simulation player you are and what you're in the mood for. However, interestingly, whilst a lot of people would say that I might be biased here since most of the content on my channel is The Sims related, they might just be wrong this time. After an intense showdown between The Sims and Stardew Valley, I'm going to have to say that Stardew Valley reigns supreme, and I think my main reasoning for this is the following. As a standalone game with no DLCs, expansion packs, or monthly subscriptions for a multiplayer feature, Stardew Valley wins in terms of detail and depth. And that settles it for me. While I grew up with The Sims and have found that no other game gives me the same feeling I get whilst playing it, I find that the franchise is highly commercialized with a primary goal of maximizing profits. And I feel like it didn't start off like that. Initially, it was a brilliant idea which blossomed into a well-crafted and refined game, looking at the first two Sims iterations. Unfortunately, this transformed into a profit-focused franchise with too many basic features being locked behind DLC or paywall. In any other way, it's almost impossible to pin them against each other since they're both so different and offer varied gameplay. However, when it comes to development, it is evident which one emerges as the clear winner. So with its charming, retro pixelated graphics, immersive gameplay, heartfelt storyline, virtually no glitches, and corporate greed, it's no surprise that Stardew Valley has captured the hearts of gamers around the world. I would love to know your thoughts on whether you agree or disagree with my conclusion and why you think one reigns over the other. Alright guys, there you have it, The Sims vs Stardew Valley. Which game reigns supreme and why? I would like to thank my Soul channel members Jiggly, Chrissy Pine and Bells. Thank you so much for your support. I would also like to thank my patrons Negative Dana, Papa Khan, Nathan Lim, Artsy Flashback, Nicole Dante, Keitajan the Arcane Archer, Amy Hassel, Elizabeth Linloff, ML, Adele Isted, Midori and Jolina. Thank you all so much for supporting my channel. That's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and let me know your theories in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more lore and updates. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!